Hey, welcome into SportsBit 2.0 betting insight today on SBRpicks.com. Paulie and Teddy, big game breakdown. Villanova, Michigan for the national championship, and the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, and the Mets against the Phillies. Can Harvey rebound after a terrible season last year? Turn the shot clock on and play the day before we get out of here. And a great edition of Bad Beats, Bad Bets, Bad for the Books to start on Monday, April 2nd. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Real SportsBit. He's at Teddy_covers. A moose right off the bat. Cubs, Marlins. First five, under 4.5. No score. Bottom of the fifth. 1-0. 2 outs. Then all hell broke loose.
Yeah. And when you're talking about Hall of Fame bad beats, this one certainly stands out. You're nothing at the bottom of the fifth. You got an under 4.5 ticket. You're feeling pretty good. With 2 outs and a 1-0, yeah, you're still feeling pretty good. There's the moose. You know how it goes, Paulie. And when you're talking about shortening the time frame of your wagers, your quarter wagers, your half wagers, you tend to get more bad beats in those spots. This certainly one of them. That was a Hall of Famer between the Cubs and the Marlins for underbettors yesterday.
Yep. I'll call this bad for the books. Blue Jays were sent out the dog, went off the favorite. Boone with the tough decision. He intentionally walks Donaldson and Smoke hits a grand slam. It happens every night. Teams continue to blow leads. That's how it is. Expect bullpen shenanigans every night.
That being said, when you're talking about bullpens that we trust, the Yankees bullpen's as trustworthy as any in baseball. I mean, they have as good a bullpen on paper as maybe I've ever seen. We're not going to see the Yankees blow a lot of leads. And when the Yankees bullpen does blow a lead, then the Royals or the Phillies is the Yankees. We're going to call it a bad beat because that's what it was. Yeah, Toronto got the money and Toronto got the win. Bad beat.
All right.
And bad for the books.
Bad beat. Nationals run line against the Reds 5-1, and then a multiple run lead in the bottom of the ninth. A 2-out, 2-strike home run allowed by Doolittle. 6-5 final there. Bad for the books. Mavs, Cavs under 217.5 to 213. Hard to call this one a bad beat because this is how when teams tank, they take guys out because they don't want to win the game, and that's when the Cavs hit the Mavs with a big run in the fourth quarter.
They did. That being said, Dallas is up 4 in the fourth. They're up 2 with 9 minutes left, and they score 6 points the rest of the way. Dallas plus 10.5 against Cleveland, loses by 11. I got to call that a bad beat, even with a tanking team.
Disagree.
That's tough to swallow. And you talk about the Nats run line. I mean, 2 outs, 2 strikes, you've dominated the game, and your closer gives up a 2-run bomb. Nats win anyway. Everyone's happy in the Washington locker room. Not run line bettors, not even a little bit.
Yeah. That was tough. And here's a bad beat for you. Well, mercy. If you had Bucks money line, also the under was tough because they bet the under and then it went over as a result of overtime. But the Nuggets from 3.5 up to 6. The take back on the Bucks money line plus 140 as high as 210. Greek Freak ejected in the fourth quarter. They were up 10. They led by 17 with 6 minutes left. They led by 8 with 2 minutes left. They fouled Murray shooting a 3 up 3 with 2 seconds left. He made all 3 free throws. Denver actually led by 7 in overtime, but they win by 3. Horrible if you had the Bucks money line, and that saved Denver's season.
It sure did. That being said, can you imagine what a sweat it was? You had Milwaukee plus the points. They're leading by 17 in the fourth quarter. Then all of a sudden, Denver's up by 7 in overtime. You're like, geez, I can't cash anything. But Bucks come through, get the money in the end. Bucks money line, a bad beat. Denver minus 3.5 up to -6, a bad bet. The Nuggets get the win. They do not get the cover.
All right, bad for the Bucks. Cardinals, $1.10 up to $1.50. They beat the Mets and the Spurs. They were 2.5-point dogs, went off the favorite, and beat the Rockets by 17. No CP3.
Yeah, I mean, it was real clear from the get-go. The Spurs cared about that game. The Rockets didn't. Look at Harden chilling out on the floor. San Antonio took all the money. The wise guys knew it. I don't know if the public knew it, but the wise guys knew it. They absolutely steamed the Spurs in that ball game. When one team cares and one team doesn't, you get results like this. All the money for San Antonio and an easy win for the Spurs, knocking off the formerly hot Rockets. And then D'Antoni goes nuts after the game, says, oh, my God, we're falling apart. We got to stay together. It's like, settle down, bro. It's April. You got a week or two to work things out.
Friday was rough. How about that? Suns were 18-1 on the money line, led by 20 in the third quarter. Green, it's a buzzer beater to win 104-103. Oh, if you had Suns money line, vicious. Bad landing spots, 2 NBA totals. Bad for the books continues. Wizards, Bulls under 210.5 to 206. fell 207. 76ers Hornets 217.5 up to 222, fell 221.
Yeah, and both of those, if you note, most of the move cashed, and only the very end didn't cash. So under 210 to 206 lands 207. Anyone that bought back late cashes. All the under money that came in cash. Same thing with 76ers Hornets over. All the early money cashes. Anyone that bought back cashes. Both of those, you can argue, they were the single worst number to land on for either book. 207 in the Wizards Bulls game and 221 in the 76ers Hornets game. Both dismal spots for sportsbook directors to explain to their bosses on a Monday morning.
All right, up next, the national title game for all the marbles. Someone's going to get paid. Villanova was 30-1, and Michigan was 200-1. We'll talk about that. 2 games in Major League Baseball on Big Game Breakdown up next on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Go to SBROdds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Back on SportsBit. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Real SportsBit. He's at Teddy_covers. Thanks to Intertop Sportsbook. 22 years online. Sign up, deposit, and win. Here we go. We're seeing some sevens out there. Villanova 6.5, 7, 145 the total national title game. Michigan has played well once in the whole tournament. Once, and shot the ball well once. That was a 99-point game against A&M. They do have a top 5 defense, and against the freight train, Villanova up 22-4 against Kansas. They hit 13 threes in the first half. They've been lights out in every game but one. They've won every game by double digits. They went 4 of 24 from 3 and still beat Texas Tech by double digits. 6 guys in double figures. The second best offense in the last 10 years, only behind Wisconsin. With these advanced metrics our stat guy gives us, can Michigan slow down this juggernaut?
Well, you say that Michigan has only played one good game in the tournament. And offensively, you're correct. They have really not played well on the offensive end of the court. But if you watch that rally against Loyola Chicago on Saturday, that was all about the Wolverines playing really well on the defensive end of the court. They were dominant defensively. They were dominant defensively against Florida State. We are talking about the number 3 defense in all of college basketball this season. But when we talk about the key storylines for this game, how's this game going to play out? Real simple. You have the number 2 offense of the last 10 years against the number 3 defense. No, not the last 10 years, but this season. Good offense versus good defense. So what can Michigan do to get in the face of those Loyola defenders? Number 1, they forced turnovers on 25% of Loyola's possessions, of those Nova's defenders, I should say. But they forced turnovers on a quarter of Loyola possessions. Villy's not going to turn it over. Just 15% of their possessions in turnovers this season, 14% versus Kansas. So Michigan, without creating the turnovers, not likely to do so. They got to get stops on the perimeter. And that, to me, has a lot to do with how well Simpson is going to be able to put ball pressure on Jalen Brunson and company.
We'll also see if they want to get Villanova, make them earn it down low in the paint, because you kick it out and these guys are wide open. They're going to knock those threes down. So much to deal with. Pascal was 10 of 11 in the win against Kansas. Spellman's knocking down threes. This team can do it all with all these guys are well balanced and 6 guys in double figures. The other thing, this is the first time ever that a team's in the title game and then you have to play at least a top 5 seed. So things have really worked out for Michigan. They get the miracle win against Houston, and then the bracket is completely opened up for them. And I thought Beeline did a bad job in the first half. They were killing them down low, but they insisted on taking a lot of jumpers and 3-pointers. But the key to this team will be Wagner as well, who could win the most outstanding player. In offshore, he was 45-1 to win that award, and he was a beast. Something only Hakeem and Larry Bird have done with that, 24 and 15, whatever he had against Loyola.
Well, and you talk about Michigan certainly from the offensive end. Nova draining shots in every game in this tournament. Obviously, they've won every game by a dozen points or more. They've covered every point spread. There is a significant Villanova betting bandwagon right now because the wise guys love the statistical profile, and the public loves the fact that they've won every game and covered every point spread, and they're shooting lights out. And they're going on every game. Nova's going on a 15-2 run, an 18-4 run. Where just all of a sudden the 3-pointers start coming in bunches, and you blink, you're down 5. Next thing you know, you're down 20. And that's what Nova does. They've been doing it effectively that way all year. Michigan is vulnerable to that type of a run out. At the same time, Michigan isn't going to give up a type of open. Look at the picture right there. Look at Nova shooting a wide open 3. Michigan is not going to give up the type of looks that Kansas gave up against Villanova. Will that be enough? We'll have to see. But I do not expect Nova to get the wide open shots that they've had at various times during this tournament, not against a Michigan defense that is very effective guarding the perimeter, even with teams that hang 4 guys around the perimeter with just the one low post option.
This team's the real deal. And they're the only team I trusted going back to November, 35-4. And remember, one of those losses at Butler when they were 15-22 from 3, 2 other losses when they had Booth and Pascal who were banged up and out of the lineup. So this team, I'll tell you, you're paying a tax, though. I agree with you there. You're paying a tax as it's up to 7. Number 2, Phillies and the Mets, lively against Harvey. Mets, go ahead.
Yeah, there's one last thing with Michigan and Villanova, because there's two main points we got to make. One is, can Michigan hang with Villanova on the defensive end? The second is, can Michigan make any freaking shots in the tournament? 38 of 120 on 3-pointers. That's close to 32%, but they had 14 of 24 against Texas A&M, and they've shot just 25% from 3-point range in all their other games. Certainly the Alamo Dome didn't bode well for them early in the contest against Loyola, but it looked like they found their shooting touch late. If Michigan's going to cover and or win tonight, they're going to have to be draining shots from downtown. That hasn't been easy for them to do so far in this tournament.
Now to the Mets and Phillies. Mets are $1.25, 8 the total. The Yankee game was canceled with a snowstorm. We'll see if they get this sucker in. But the big story to me is Gabe Kapler. What a disaster so far. Set a record with 15 pitchers used in the first 2 games, then 6 more on Saturday. Had to bring an outfielder in to work the 9th inning, and then a snafu when Milner was brought in the bottom of the 3rd to start not having warmed up. Jerry Lane, the umpire, let him have it, quote, for whatever reason. The pitcher wasn't even getting ready. Who got crossed up? I'm not placing blame on any because I don't know. He wasn't ready, hadn't thrown a pitch. The last thing I want to do is get somebody hurt. It's a messed up situation. Who's ever at fault on the Phillies side should have to answer to Major League Baseball. And it started with Nola. When he took him out, he had less than 70 pitches in a 5-0 game, and the bullpen blew that one. He thinks he wants to be like the Dodgers from last year, but he doesn't have the arms like the Dodgers and the Yankees have.
He sure doesn't. I mean, talk about a rough way to start your managerial career in Philadelphia. Let's see. You had your opening season, your opening series. You screwed up the pitching rotation. You botched your bullpen. You're getting reprimanded by umpires, and baseball hates you. And, I mean, at least the bullpen is relatively fresh today because they got Sunday off to get the bullpen fresh. But when you use 21 pitchers in 28 innings at Atlanta, that's not getting the job done. And, of course, Ben Lively, the starter here for Philadelphia, he's not a 3 times through the lineup type of guy. He doesn't have the stuff to do that. When you look at his numbers from last year, he doesn't get the strikeouts, 5.3 per 9 innings. He doesn't get the ground ball outs, less than 40% ground ball outs. So pitcher in MLB needs to have one or the other to survive. Ben Lively doesn't have either. And given the nature of the Phillies bullpen so far, that's a big concern for this bettor.
Now it's Harvey. Was he bad last year or was he injured? Maybe a little bit of both. Look at these numbers. Career worst ERA, almost 7. The fielding independent pitching, 6 and change. Strikeouts per 9, walks per 9. Home run fly ball rate, swinging strike percentage. Horrible. Better command in the spring, 18 strikeouts for 6 walks and only 1 home run in 20 innings pitched. He won't even talk about last year. Look at this. Completely new year. I'm not talking about it. I'm not comparing anything to last year or years before. You buying this? What do you think? If last year was a fluke or he can get back on track, certainly they think Callaway's going to do that and help out Harvey.
The bottom line for me is I want to see it before I bet it. Harvey was not good at any point last year. Harvey's really struggled against Philadelphia, current Phillies with a .333 batting average against Matt Harvey. And, I mean, look at the price here. The price is telling you that the Mets are not a bet-on squad in a major way with Matt Harvey on the hill the way they were 2 years ago. So certainly not interested in laying anything with New York here. We'll get back to this game when it comes to the total for play of the daytime.
And one more. Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, again, thanks to Intertops, over 4,000 daily wagers. Ryu against Walker. Dodgers $1.10, 9 the total. Good bounce back. They lost the first 2, 1-0 and 1-0, and then shut out the Giants. Giants scored 2 runs in a 4-game series and somehow got a split. The Humidor at Chase. Ball was flying, though. 8 home runs in the first 3 games, 7 for the Rockies. But Ray, Corbin, and Greinke pitched well. 16 innings, 4 walks, 25 strikeouts. Each had at least 8 Ks in fewer than 6 innings pitched.
Yeah, there's an issue for Arizona that I don't know that I saw it necessarily coming into the season. Paul Goldschmidt's 0 for 13 in the Colorado, or he opened 0 for 13 in the Rockies series. I don't think anyone in the lineup to really protect him in terms of the power bat in the middle of the lineup for Paul Goldschmidt. That may be an issue for Arizona moving forward. And of course, they got Taijuan Walker on the hill, 31-31 with a 3.97 over his career, 514 innings, despite the fact that he's only 25. At times, this has been a guy viewed as a potential ace. So far, the numbers haven't quite lived up to that. But as you mentioned, Dodgers aren't hitting. You know, I mean, they scored nothing in game 1, nothing in game 2. They had 4 hits in game 3, and then game 4, they had 1 run in the bottom of the 6th before finally breaking out. But, you know, you look at the other graphic here, look at this series. You know, they hit 200 in the series with an OBP of 252 and a slugging of 275. Obviously, the Giants' pitching was very good, but Dodgers bats, let's just say they didn't come out of the Cactus League on fire, and that's putting it mildly.
Well, you got to worry about Ryu because his numbers since coming back from injury, well, you know, what happened last year and when he came back from injury, the home run fly ball rate, you look at this graphic, 2013, 192 innings pitched and 15 home runs, and then 152 and 8, and then 126 and 20. The home run fly ball rate up to 18.6, and you see the big jump there as he continues to be giving up the long ball and gets hurt there. And these are supposed to be pitcher-friendly ballparks where he's getting lit up too.
Well, that's the thing with the humidor at Chase Field. It was like Chase Field was not a pitcher-friendly ballpark. And when the roof is open, it is never a pitcher-friendly ballpark. But the thought process is the humidor is going to keep the ball in. It's not going to carry as well. So far, we haven't seen evidence of that, which makes this a potentially bad matchup for Ryu against the D-backs lineup tonight. Although, as I said, Arizona, not like they're tearing the cover off the ball in early season play either.
Yeah. All right, we turn on the shot clock up next. How about an NBA first-round upset in the play of the day on SportsBit? Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
Back on SportsBit. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Real SportsBit. He's at Teddy_covers. Play of the day in a second. Time to turn on the shot clock. We have, 9 days left in the regular season of the association. No one plays today. But how about a first-round upset? I know a lot can happen with the seeding in the East and the West, but I'll go Philadelphia in trouble. Could get Embiid back. They are playing well, winners of 10 in a row. But I don't like the matchup if they get the 3, if they have to play the Wizards. And if they're the 4, they can, or draw the Pacers. That could be tough for them as well, as they just played and they got beat at home by Indiana. And OKC, not working out here. Westbrook jacking shots late. That could be a tough, especially if they get San Antonio. I think OKC could be one and done as well as a possible upset with a team that has a decent seed.
When we talk about, and let's get that shot clock on, we talk about teams that are vulnerable. I'm going to look in the Western Conference just because it's so jumbled in the standings, and teams that are 3 and 4 right now may well be 5, 6, 7, 8 down the road. But I've seen nothing to like about San Antonio this year. The Spurs are probably my number 1 bet against going into the postseason. The Kawhi situation is working itself out. And other than LaMarcus Aldridge, San Antonio is a little bit short on talent compared to where they've been over the course of the last 2 decades. And for some reason, I continue to think that Portland, despite their strong regular season, will have some playoff vulnerability. Maybe it's playoffs past, where if Lillard's not hitting, the Blazers haven't been winning. I would look at Portland or San Antonio as teams that could get upset in the first round, even if they have home court advantage.
All right, money time, play of the day. Winner Friday with the Loyola game under. Custer fouls down, 10 with 11 seconds left. Jesus, although it stayed under. 9:05, 9:06, Mets, Phillies, over 8. I'm with Teddy. Harvey's got to prove it to me. And plus this gassed Philly bullpen already. Lively might not be around for this one, and the Mets hit the ball in the first series at home against the Cardinals. Roughed up Martinez, too, opening day. Up and over the total of 8, 9:05, 9:06. Back tomorrow to recap everything. A great NBA card as well. Here come the Celtics trying to catch the Raptors for the 1 seed. Toronto gets another shot at the Cavs coming up on Tuesday. That's coming up Tuesday. We'll talk to you on SportsBit. Betting Insight today. Thanks for watching. SBRPicks.com.